Yo, what is the dealio, man? Hey, listen, in this video, I want to talk about some real life, right? I want to share a perspective with you that could just level up your mind game, right? Your mindset and just your life. Um, I think that it's very important to like keep the main thing, and also um, ensure that your priorities are in alignment with your own personal values, right? And a lot of times in life, we're met at these crossroads, and it's up to us to make certain decisions, right, that will change the trajectory of our lives. All right, so it's like me personally, we all know at this point I'm in the stock market, right? If you've been following me, you understand what's going on. I trade. I've been an entrepreneur for a while, but about back in the end of last year, I'm coming up on a year now. I walked away from a sales position where I was making six figures. And I really had to reinvent myself, in order to get into that next step. And that's what I really want to talk about, because it's easy to sit here and be like, oh, I'm all about the money, right? I just want to get the money. But what is the point of making the money when your soul is empty? Like, let's really think about this. Let's really understand this. What's the point of making all this money when your soul is empty? And so I just want to share a story with you, which is my story, and hopes to, help you out, right? And help you feel seen and understand that you're not alone in this whole game and this whole journey of life, right? So I didn't had a lot of transitionary periods in my life. It all kind of started when I went to the military, and then when I ended up getting out of the military, right? Um, in life, you're gonna be met with a lot of these different, like I said, forks in the road, but I like to call them like pivot points or transition periods in your life, right? Doesn't matter what age you are, but these are like defining moments of your life. These are defining moments of your life. I could go back to my life, and there's about 3 to 4 decisions that got me to where I'm at today, right? Of course, it's a whole bunch of micro decisions, but it's about 3 to 4 solid decisions that made me switch up and got me to where I'm at today. And it's going to continue to happen like that. And so I want to just shed light on that, right? So I moved to Vegas, right? I was living in LA. I moved to Las Vegas back in 2021, the top of 2021. I was doing e-commerce consulting. And this is what I'm talking about reinventing yourself, right? I was doing e-commerce consulting, and a lot of times our identities are wrapped up in our work. And I want you to understand that's first things first. Like, your identity is not your work. Your value is not what you can do for the world, right? Your value is just you. Your value is just who you are. I want you to really understand that, because a lot of times we get so caught up in what we think our value is to the world, which is what we can do for the world and what we can do for others, rather than who we actually are and what actually makes us happy, right? You got to start asking yourself, what makes me happy? Not what do I need to do for a dollar amount. And that's why freedom is so important, and being able to afford your freedom, right? So I was e-commerce consultant, and I had an eyewear company as well. And so then I was like, okay, I saw what was going on in the actual market. It was after COVID, and I knew that money was about to be drying up. I knew things weren't sustainable. I was doing very well for myself, but then I was like, I'm tired of dealing with clients. And I saw that the clients that I was dealing with, a couple clients was doing 2 mil here a year, 5 mil a year, 500K a year. But when I was able to look at the business in the back end, I was like, okay, they're not gonna be around for a while. So I know I need to pivot right now. And so that's when I made a pivot, right? And I made this pivot, and I reinvented myself. And I got into solar, right? I got into door-to-door sales and solar. And it's funny because I was thinking about going back into car sales, and I was just gonna go like go ghost to the world, right? Because I was on social media and stuff like that. I was gonna go ghost to the world. I have another YouTube channel. That's how I was marketing my e-commerce consulting and stuff like that. So I was gonna go ghost to the world. So I ended up doing door-to-door sales and solar. I did door-to-door sales when I was a kid. I was about 13, 14, 15, and I was doing door-to-door sales in with newspaper subscriptions. And so I get into solar, I delete my Instagram, I delete my Facebook. I don't talk to nobody except like my people that I talk to every day, like in my real life, right? I got like a couple solid friends and then just like my family, right? And so I was only talking to them. And so I just went on this little journey of like, I cut off the whole world and I just got into door-to-door sales and I was really good at it, right? First year, I made over 215K in commissions, and that's a 1099, right? So that was the first year. And so solar is very, very, very lucrative. And so I started to see though, I'm like, okay, this year was good. This year was massive, but I had to, you got to start looking around you, right? You got to start looking at the bigger picture here. And it's like, I'm in Vegas. I'm in a city where I don't have any family, any friends and stuff like that. And I'm used to being on my own, being in the military. I lived, in Germany for 4 or 5 years. So I'm used to those things, but I'm like, okay, I see that. And I understand that this is not my biggest thing in my life, but a lot of times it's easy to get caught up in your current environment. And that's what I'm saying. Like these things that we think is doing good things for us, it's actually like golden handcuffs and it's not allowing us to be free. Because within that time, right, there was, things that were presented that wanted me to compromise, who I was, or my light had to be dim in order for me to be around all of my counterparts. And if I wanted to continue to elevate, I had to be a dimmer version of who I was. And so when I started feeling that, I had to compare that to the money I was making. And I'm like, man, this ain't feeling right. This ain't feeling right. You get what I'm saying? But when you're making 20K a month off of knocking on some doors and going in people's houses and you elevating, you like, okay, can I make this work? Can I make this work? And so you start to kind of like get engorged in this other world that really ain't even you. And I really want you guys to understand that you got to stay true to yourself. You got to stay true to yourself because it ain't about the money, it's about the freedom. And a lot of times we think that these high paying jobs is going to give us the freedom that we want, but it's not. It actually does the exact opposite because now you become a slave to the title and the position and the role that is expected of you. And so that's what slowly started to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I went crazy. This was in 2023, right? I got into solar in December of 2022. And in 2023, I went crazy, right? I went absolutely crazy. I was with a company. They never saw anything like it. And I'm not trying to be cocky, but I'm speaking pure facts, right? I went absolute bonkers and I was, top 2 to 3 sales reps every single month in the office and all of this stuff. And so I was like, you start to get the accolades and things like that, but you start to not feel like you're really able to be who you really want to be because you start to understand and you start to feel other people's energy. You start to feel other people's envy. You start to feel other people want you to be quiet, right? Because a lot of times when you have certain skill sets or gifts that are just natural to you, a lot of people that don't have those things, they feel certain types of ways and they want you to shut up. And so when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 people like that around you, you start to question yourself. And what that does is it starts to make you start to feel like, okay, should I do this? Should I not do this? How should I move? Et cetera, et cetera. And so what slowly starts to happen is you start to deteriorate, right? Your soul starts to get hollow. It starts to suck the life out of you. This is what jobs do. And I'm not trying to rag on jobs. You got to do what you got to do. But I want to inspire you to choose you instead of choosing these corporations and these entities, right? And being loyal to managers and things like that, because at the end of the day, your freedom and your happiness is what matters the absolute most, right? So I'm doing that. And then in 2024, the new year started, and then the actual solar industry thing started to happen. And then in the office I was working with, things started to happen. And then you really start to see what's going on. You really start to see like how people are. How are you getting treated when certain things happen? When other people are dealing with their issues, how are they showing up and how are they treating you? And so you're like, man, so it starts to affect kind of like what's going on with you, right? And so the worst thing ever is to start to question your own purpose and your own value, right? Just because of other people's insufficiencies and insecurities. That's one of the worst positions to be in, right? And so what I ended up doing was, I remember in 2024, it was right around my birthday. I started the YouTube channel, but I bought the YouTube equipment. I remember earlier on in the year, back in like February, March, I bought all of my stuff for the office. And so I didn't even set it up until like July. And that was because I was in a battle with where I was at and where I wanted to be and who I knew I was and who I was at the time, right? And so I'm like, man. So I finally set everything up in July, but I knew that once I started putting out my YouTube videos, that the people that I would work with, they would start looking at me different. But I knew that I had to choose me, right? I had to choose me and I had to choose my future rather than trying to choose being a certain person for other people. And this is real life right here. And I really want you to understand that it's going to be uncomfortable when you forging your own path. It's going to be uncomfortable when you pursuing your own personal freedom, your own pursuit of your own personal happiness. It is going to be uncomfortable. But the most uncomfortable thing is 5, 6, 7 years later, you look up and you still around the same people, making them happy, making them money, and you are dying inside or you're dead inside already. That's the worst feeling ever. So then I start my YouTube channel, right? And I started to feel the stares, the giggles, and all of these things, right? And I just knew. And so when you start to do that, you got to just stand 10 toes down on who you are. This is what it means to really reinvent yourself. Reinventing yourself is all about your goals, your values, your principles, and your morals. And then your actions going in alignment with all of those things right there, right? Don't chase the money, y'all. I'm telling you right now, don't chase the money, because the money is going to have you in all these fucked up situations that may bring you the money, right? But it ain't going to bring you the actual internal feeling that you're really looking for. And a lot of people will be like, it's not about the money. But it's like, if it's not about the money, why are you going to work every single day and you not happy? Just think about that. It is about the money. So if it is about the money for real, let's not act like it's not. But why don't you go and do something to make the money and do it in a way that you enjoy and you don't feel like you compromising on your morals? I got tired of being in positions where, people wanted me to turn a blind eye to what was the opposite of what my values were. Because when you in like a sales position and everybody trying to get to the top, it'd be real cutthroat. It'd be real cutthroat. And you may be in your situation and be like, man, it do be cutthroat. But it's like, yo, you got to start looking at your values and your principles and being like, I don't stand for this. And that's where I got to. I was like, I don't stand for this no more. I'm just going for me. And that's why all in 2024, January 2024 is when I locked in on trading. So every single day, I would wake up on the West Coast, market open at 6:30. I'm in the markets at 6:30. I'm done by 8. right? I'm at the gym and then I go to work. I did that all year. All year I did that, right? Nobody knew. I wasn't telling nobody at work because that don't matter. I knew that I was mastering this skill and working on this skill so it could set me free. I already had money saved up and things like that. And so then I launched a YouTube channel. And then when I started getting all the, all the stares and stuff like that, I was like, man, I feel it. And it's funny because when you do stuff like that is when you get shown everything that you need to be shown, and then it helps you with your decisions. And after I launched my YouTube channel, it was August, September, 3 months later, I was out of there, right? Nobody said, oh, you launched a YouTube channel, we don't like you anymore. But what happened was I started putting myself first, and I stopped being as valuable to the people because all I was a cash cow for them. Y'all see what I'm saying? A lot of times you're just a cash cow for your superiors. And this is what I mean when I say your value is not predicated on what you can do for other people. The only place that's real is in corporate America. But in your world, in your reality, what matters more than what you can do for others is how you feel for yourself, right? Are you full? Are you doing the things that really make you feel good and make you feel fulfilled? Some people just want to draw for the rest of their life, but they can't because they don't have the financial means and the time to do so. And that's why the stock market is so powerful when you understand it, because you can make your full-time income and not have to deal with all these people that's draining the life out of you, that's trying to, push you down so that they could go up, right? I'm telling y'all, freedom is more important than money. You will never get freedom chasing money, but you will always have money when you pursue freedom. I'm telling you as a fact. I'm telling you as a fact. And it's funny because when I was in solar, my biggest month with cash in the bank was $39K. Commissions. I made more money the month after I quit, $44,000 in the stock market, the month after I quit, right? Than when I was in solar. That was just God trying to remind me that, nah, you good. You made the right decision. And ever since then, I've been locked in and I've been on a journey and I've been on the path. And so when you really reinventing yourself, I can't stress it enough. You got to operate off your morals and your principles. If things ain't feeling right for you right now, it's time to move on. If things ain't feeling right for you, it's time to do different. It's time to think different. It's time to create different habits. It is time. You cannot afford to continue to stay in a place where it's eating at you and you only there for a green piece of paper. That's not what this life is about. This life is meant to be lived and experienced. And the more you fully understand that, the less you will give your best days and your best time to these corporations. I'm telling you this because I've lived it multiple times. Same thing in the military. I got out, went to go chase my dreams, got into real estate, started flipping houses, wholesaling, rehabbing, fixing, flipping, rental properties, lease options. I was doing those same things. And I made in the military, the most I made in a year was like 31,000. I was in the military for almost 5 years. When I got out of the military and I got into real estate, within a year, I had made 36,000 a month off of fixing and flipping a house. So I've always had these transitional periods in my life that elevated me to that next level, mentally, financially, all of these things, spiritually. But I want you to understand that You got to keep reinventing yourself. If it don't feel right no more, honor that. You don't owe nobody no explanation. I didn't explain to nobody. Whenever I moved to a different city, I didn't explain to nobody. I just moved, because it's about reinventing your own self based on your own personal values and morals. It ain't about what other people think. It ain't about what other people say. It ain't about what other people feel about you. Because a lot of times, people are just phases and periods in your life. I'm not talking about family. I'm talking about all of the fleeting things in this world, all of the fleeting people in this world. So that's why I walked away from 6 figures and I chose freedom over 6 figures. Because I know the money is not in the job. The money is inside of me. I am the money. I am the abundance. And you got to think like that and understand that. The money don't come from the job, the position. The money comes from my belief within myself. I am abundance. You are abundance. You worth something. You worth more than what you think you worth. But you got to really tap into that frequency. And you really got to honor yourself and respect yourself. And the more you respect yourself and make decisions based on what you desire, and not just making decisions based on the fear, you're going to get where you want to go a lot faster. And you're going to have much better experiences as well. So I hope that did something for you. I hope that you understand, and I hope that you know that you're not alone. I've been there too. And it's time for you, if you are there, to start really, really, really getting serious about your exit. Real talk. Because nobody is going to tell you to leave. As long as you're making the company money and you being a good boy, good girl, they're going to want you right there. The second you start doing something for yourself, it's not going to be good. All right? So choose yourself. Get locked in. This ain't even about the stock market. This is about whatever you want to do for your life. Whatever you want to do for your life, this is what this is about. So like I always say, make sure you get up out of your head, go get into this world, because your head is a dangerous place to live, all right? And always remember, the more you study, the less you worry, all right? I'm going to see you guys on the next video. Peace.